morning, and welcome to Today in L.A. That's Lower Alabama. And, of course, today is, we're excited about the start of our Picket series. And, of course, last year's champion was Jason Gregory of Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks. And he wins how about this? A $100 gift from B. Graves. You reckon you can eat pretty good off that?
Well, that's a good prize right there. What's the prize going to be this year, so I know what I'm playing for?
Something very similar.
And I can win, right?
Yeah, and of course we're limited on the games that are going to be played this week, and so we might, just according to how the show goes, we might wait until next week to start our official.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the SEC and the Big Ten.
And Troy University hadn't played yet.
And the ACC and all that. But I watched some games played last night. Miami did what they were supposed to do, beat UAB, beat them by 17. The line was 16. So folks that took Miami last night, I got a big smile on them. And also in the pro ranks last night, battle of two of the best teams in the NFL, Kansas City won that game. What was the final score, Mike? Do you know?
He hadn't called in.
Well, we got him on Zoom here, hopefully coming in here in a minute.
Oh, he's good.
And we got a phone call coming in. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, morning. Mike
Amos calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida. How's the weather down there today?
Full overcast. We actually had a little bit of rain yesterday afternoon. It hadn't rained down here forever, so hopefully it won't be too bad over the weekend. I'll listen to the weather forecasters, which are some of the worst I've ever seen for us predicting rain and what the weather's actually going to be like. And they said 70-80% the rest of the weekend, so I guess we'll find out.
Have you been following these wildfires in California and Oregon? That is...
Yeah, actually, being a line rep, Sonoma County and Napa and a lot of those great wine areas have been affected. So, yeah, we've actually had some issues as far as getting some of our wines, out of there as far as delivery to Florida. So, yeah, we have been following it.
Yeah. On my show today, I'm sort of get sort of excited about which color shirt's going to come on now. I've got a royal blue shirt, but it's showing green. But yesterday I had a bright red vest on, and it was showing pink or peach, whatever, But things look good this morning, and of course represented in front are the Pike Little Arts Patriots, and they've got a big game tonight at Delaney Kirby Stadium. 7 o'clock kickoff against Lee Scott should be a good one. And then, of course, Charles Henderson is off this week. They have a needed rest, and after losing their first 3 ball games. And then, of course, the Goshen Eagles coming off a tough win at Trinity in Montgomery. And they are playing Goshen now will go head. Let's see.
Childersburg.
Childersburg. Boy, that's a tough road trip right there. Mike Amos is calling in from Great Beach, of course, as he always does. If you're out there, Jason, give us a ring, or we'll go by and take him the brackets and so forth today, and he can go ahead and fill them out, and we'll get him going for the next week. But it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of high school games to talk to you about, and also the college ranks, and we might dabble a little bit in the pro ranks and talk a little bit about that.
I learned a lot last night. 2 things from watching the 2 football games. Miami still got a lot of athletes, and they're really fast. And Kansas City didn't have a letdown for winning the Super Bowl.
What was the final score?
Kansas City won 34-20, and then Miami won 31-14.
What was the crowd like in Miami? We didn't get it in TV here.
It was 13,000, and they made some noise. They going to pump in crowd noise and sounds and music at the Miami Stadium, but apparently UAB and Miami discussed it before the game, and they couldn't agree to how loud to have the noise pumped in. Of course, UAB probably didn't want any noise, but I tell you what, UAB got up 7-0 on a muff punt and played Miami pretty tough the first half, 14-7. But Miami rushed for I think 360 yards. You know, their new offensive coordinator's got a familiar name to the state, the great Rhett Lashley.
Oh, really? Yeah. Hey, Mike, let me do a little officiating with you a minute. You cannot return a muff punt.
Well, they got a muff punt.
Oh, I got a muff punt. Okay. You're like, how many times you ever take somebody a muff a punt and somebody pick it up, run a touchdown, and bring it back? Yep. I don't think that rule's changed.
No, that's good.
It's where the ball is picked up.
Well, I tell you something.
But UAB does have some athletes. I will say that. I was pretty impressed. Might need a quarterback change. They brought this other kid, Lucero, in, who is a lot better thrower than Johnson. Johnson was kind of a dinker and a dunker. And kind of threw the little 5-yard, 6-yard pass to get out Spanish Ford. But they might need to change quarterbacks. The other guy they brought in I thought was better.
What was that final score, Mike? 31-17 or what? 31-14?
14. So Miami won the money. It was 15.5 at kickoff. The under took place as well. Miami, the kid from Houston, the transfer to Eric King, looked really good. He rushed for, I think, about 85 yards, threw for about 150. But I think once they open up the offense down there, they've got the athletes. They're going to be pretty good in the ACC.
Exactly right. Of course, it is a Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday, and we're heading into a weekend of high school and college football, and the pros get started. Now, let me tell you this. From when I turned it on and watched some of the pro game, you couldn't tell there wasn't a crowd there. Their crowd was crazy loud last night. But that's what they say about Kansas City. A lot of people say it's the hardest place in the world in football to play a game. Have you ever heard that, Mike?
Yeah, they've got a rabid fan base.
Their crowd is crazy, and of course, like I said, they had about 25,000. And you couldn't tell the difference hardly.
I thought there was going to be a smaller crowd. But I think I heard 16, and I heard 17,000, but they were spaced out perfectly. They were just intermingled throughout both decks.
And you would think...
I like it a lot better having some than none. How about you?
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. And, of course, we get into...
It's just like I said yesterday, Bill. I mean, why would Alabama jump the gun in Auburn when all these other SEC schools are doing 25%? And Alabama and Auburn have said they're only going to do 20. I think they might need to change that.
I agree. I mean, you get as many as you can, and what's the difference between 20 and 25,000? You can space out 25,000 as easily as you can 20,000. That extra 5,000 fans is important.
Yeah. You know, I've was touch base with some of the Troy people this week. They're going to try to get as many people in the game as possible. Now, what we're doing, we're talking about the separation is going to be there, but why not? You know, as long as you can separate them 6 feet, that's all they ask you to do. Is that right?
Yeah, and then I think, you know, like if you're sitting behind somebody, I mean, how can somebody breathe on you if you're at a football stadium? I mean, if you're breathing on somebody, you're going to be breathing on the back of their head. You see what I'm saying? The only people that you're going to be talking to are the people next to you who are family members who are okay to sit.
Exactly, no question about it. I'm going to rearrange my set a little bit. It's sort of fun this morning with the Patriots.
You got all these high school games that have already taken place, I mean, for the last 3-4 weeks. I mean, so far so good as far as I can tell. I have heard crazy stories of people attending games and then all of a sudden
there we go.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, Mike Amos, along with, of course, I'm a local guy, born and raised on Orion Street in Troy, Alabama.
And you say you didn't grow up in a brick house, though, right?
No, I did not grow up in a big house, so automatically, you know, I was not rich. Didn't have air conditioning, you know, I wasn't rich. We did have a little fan that blew on us, but we woke up.
What are your memories of not having air? Dad talked about that all the time, about how he hated being hot. Even before he knew there was an air conditioning, he did not like it.
You know why it was so hot for us? Let me go ahead and straighten this out. My son needs to hear this too. It's because most of the time we slept late. If you slept late, you woke up hot.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So in the summertime, it was sort of like this. You would stay up late playing outside. And, of course, you don't see kids playing outside at dark anymore, and you don't see mamas and daddies sitting on the front porch anymore. In fact, they don't even make front porches anymore. But back when I was growing up, it was a big thing. Then you would go and you didn't have television or much television. Jack Parr was the guy instead of our guru with the Tonight Show, Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson.
So, but we didn't have much TV, and you had one football game a week, one baseball game a week, and it was brought to you by Falstaff Beer, the right beer yesterday. And they would pour that beer in that glass, and old Dizzy Dean and Pee Wee Reese would bring it to you one game every week. So that's what you had to look forward to as far as sports go.
The houses were built differently to make them as cool as possible. And what are those things above the doors that are little windows, like transoms, or it was? And then you had windows and screens. Everything was to try to get the air to circulate as much.
Exactly. Well, now let me tell you a little bit. Now, we had 10-foot ceilings.
High ceilings
made it cooler because of the 10-foot ceilings. But most of the time we didn't have a job. My job was to mow the grass at least once a week and do little things like that around the house. But most of the time I woke up hot because it was 8:30, 9:30. Or 10 o'clock.
So you're saying if you woke up at 5:30, it wouldn't have been as hot?
No, it would have been. You had the windows up, and there would be a little breeze coming in, and you loved it.
You wouldn't have realized that you're hot.
You loved it when it rained, but that's why we got used to hot, waking up and it'd be hot in the bedroom.
Well, Dad told me, and it makes sense, and I've read this, that's one reason movies were so popular. Of course, it was the only entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't have TV, like you said. But a lot early on, movie theaters were air conditioned before any other place, so that was another reason to make you
really?
want to. Yeah, you got to go to the cool movie theater.
And they had what you call a serial at the. We had two walk-in theaters, the Enzer and the Pike Theater, and I always was more favorable toward the Enzer Theater because it's closer to home. I'd had to walk all the way around the square and across the bridge to the Pike Theater, but the Enzer Theater was just right up there.
So you got to two movie choices.
First Baptist Church. Yeah, that's right. And they had what they call a cereal on Saturdays. They had the cereal, and so that was an extra treat. I remember you paid 10 cents or 15 cents, and you went and watched Hopalong Cassidy.
Say that again for the kids out there watching. How much would you pay to go to the movie?
10 or 15 cents each to go to the movie. And you had these cowboys. They were Johnny Mac Brown, who of course played football at Alabama and was a big movie star later on, and got his first look when he went out there to the Rose Bowl, playing the Rose Bowl. And then Hopalong Cassidy, Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, Gene Autry. Knock knock. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Kilroy.
Kilroy who?
Kilroy Rogers. I'm a Gene Autry fan. When is the last time have you had a knock knock? Do you know any knock knock?
My kids love them. I need to start writing these down.
Exactly.
They won't get that one though.
Yeah. And I'm not going to get into book titles. So people out there know what I'm talking about.
Well, the other thing they had the news
Under the Grandstand.
Before the movies, they had the news of the world that gave you a little newscast, right? And then I've since learned from watching my history channels during COVID that they had this one guy that did all these travel pieces. He would take you to some exotic country you've never heard of and do a little 10-minute documentary on that country.
Yeah.
And they were real popular, and that's all he did. And it was in Technicolor, and he interviewed people and showed the beautiful sights of, Indonesia, and people love those.
Mike, of course, tomorrow is Bass Day. But back in the old days, you bathed once a week. Now, if you don't bathe once a day, something's wrong. But Mike, remember it's Bass Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would have had a hard time with that. I used to shower twice a day.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Mike's one of these guys that would have had a hard time growing up in my house because it didn't have air conditioning, because he always slept late.
I would have been real scared with the windows open, too. You know, I had to look underneath my bed at least 5 minutes.
Well, we did have screens. Now, let me tell you something. It wasn't that bad. We did have screens on our windows. But then, of course, I looked out over Woodview Field, Mike. My side yard was built for a stickball game any day of the week. We called it Woodville Field in Brooklyn, and the grass was always cut and so forth, and we played stickball.
Yeah, I love it.
To the right side down the left field line was kudzu, and when you hit in the kudzu, first of all you go get the ball or go get a snake or whatever, and the kudzu. But that was foul ball, and of course, if you hit it up against the house, especially you had a brick. Yes, I had a half brick house. If you hit the
bottom
part,
you've been lying
the bottom
all
part, the basement part. Yeah,
you've been lying all along.
We had an undeveloped basement. But
you had a half brick house, ladies and gentlemen.
And then the wood was white wood, and then above it was a green roof. And then, of course, if you hit it over against the white or the green, it was a home run. But we played stickball with a stick.
Y'all really played with a stick?
We sure did play with the broomstick, and we took a golf ball, a plastic golf ball that had holes in it, and wrapped it around it just enough that it'll have a little, some of the holes showing, and it would make it heavier so that you could throw it. So you had that. So then what you do, you would set up an imaginary line for a single, imaginary line for a double, a line for a triple, and a line for a home run. And everything else was right in your hands. So you had if you were just two of you, that was a great thing about it. It was just two of you.
You play.
It was strike three and you're out. And we always just had one out. So it would be strike three, you're out, and we'd go out. The batter would take the pitcher's place, and the pitcher would take the batter's place. And you would keep up with runs. Like if you hit a ground ball past the single, that means you had an imaginary guy on first base. Then you hit it past the double, and that guy went from first to third, and then the guy went from first to second in the double. So you got a runner on second and third in your mind.
Yeah, we did that too.
Then a ground ball that was hit, and I ran up and stopped it before it went over the singles mark. He was out, and that ended the inning.
I remember doing the similar things. We played in the street in front of the house. You had to make sure no cars were coming.
That's right. But now the great thing, so you could play it with two people, and if you played with three people, it made it even more fun. You had a pitcher, a catcher, and a batter. All right, you got to, of course, if the guy steps up and hits it, and it hits the house, and it hits if it hits the brick part, it's a triple, and if it hits the white part, it's a home run.
Yep.
So I hit a home run. Then the next batter comes up. I'm still at bat, and I hit a ball and I catch it before or catch it in the air. He's out, and the inning and that inning's over. So, but the great thing about three people. The catcher went to the pitcher's mound, and the pitcher went to the catcher's mound. People don't understand how this works in your mind. Now, if I threw it and he swung and missed, and the catcher caught it, he's out. So he goes and changes directions again until they're able to get him out.
It's like all this happened yesterday.
Strike three, you're out. I mean, if I swung at it three times and you're out. If I swung at it and the catcher caught it, you're out. Now, if I hit a double, a single, and then you keep up with we played all afternoon.
Did y'all play?
Most of the time, me and Richard Williford and my brother Joel.
Yeah.
Jimmy Shirley played a lot with us. Keith Chapman, who you were related to.
Yeah, that's my mom's first cousin.
One of my very good friends. He used to play a lot with us. And Richard Williford. not many people could play because they didn't understand how it worked. They didn't realize that you never had anybody on base, actual people, but they were imaginary people.
You know, that reminds me of my childhood. We played at similar games where you could play with 4 or 5 people and invent those rules. But we played a lot in Mom and Dad's bedroom on the king-size bed.
Oh, did you?
And we played sock baseball. Did y'all ever play that? Michael might have. Well, I guess he didn't because he didn't have a brother. But you would get on your knees on one side of the bed, and then you roll up some socks, some athletic socks real tight, pitch it to them, and then you would hit it. And then if you hit it in a certain place above the closet, that was a home run.
Oh, really?
But normally it would ricochet off the other wall.
See, we had to make things happen. We had to be innovative.
Yeah, and so it ricocheted off the wall, and then it would bounce back on the king-size bed, and then your pitcher, who's usually my little brother, would have a chance, and then a pillow would be first base, and he'd have to get the ball and throw the sock and hit you before you dove to first base.
Now, we played a ton of knee football, and my mother
played a lot of knee football.
We just wore out our carpet in our living room. But
we played that on the king-size bed, too.
And I tell you, we also played basketball. Now, this was fun. You take a bucket, sort of like the bucket you have where you put the sugar and all that. You take a bucket, you put it up against a chair, and you take a pillow and get it where it will lean back a little bit. And with a tennis ball, we played basketball for hours. We played basketball with a tennis ball for hours. I mean, and we got
by the time I came along,
and I was Bob Pettit, and he was Bill Russell and Bob Cousy and all that. But this was indoors now. This was something we did at night. And we had a bucket.
So y'all did not have Nerf basketball back then. We had Nerf basketball had been invented, so you could put the little Nerf goal on the back of the top of the door.
We weren't rich enough to have that now.
But Nerf basketball, it was a rough physical sport because you couldn't dribble the Nerf basketball, so it really was almost like football. You were trying to knock people away to get to the goal.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are waiting for us to pick games, and we will on Premier Dodge Chrysler.
Jeep Premier ticket show up on.
I know we got Premier Dodge.
People surely they're enjoying this.
Well, I've got to tell you how we played. We were innovative, and I'll tell you a couple more, and I'll leave you alone. For hours, I would take a tennis ball, and I would throw it against my front steps. My front steps had 4 or 5 steps to it. And when you throw the ball, it'll either come back on the ground, or it would come back in the air, or it would go over your head. Well, I played 9-inning games all the time. I'm the pitcher, throwing up just me now with something to do. Threw the ball and it hit the ground, and it grounds it back to me, and I pick it up, throw it, and it comes back in the air. You're out.
I want to tell you what I did.
Or if I threw it and it bounced high and I caught it, you're out. But hey, we played it for forever. And then those ground balls, we had a area that showed an imaginary line. If it did not pass that line, he was out.
I want to tell my story, my tennis ball story. When I was about Opie Taylor days, Opelika, Alabama, the basement hadn't been finished yet, so we had a basement with a garage. On one side, you had the ping pong table. And
he had a ping pong table.
Not vertically, but horizontally. I could stand against one wall and throw a tennis ball against the other wall that was about 50 feet away, I guess. And I think I went and taped out a square, which would be your strike zone, and I would endlessly pitch and try to hit that square and imagine that I was playing a game.
Yeah.
And I was known when I was little for being throwing the ball hard, a pretty good pitcher. But if that was the case, it all started from just hours and hours and hours of me bearing down, imagining that I was a pitcher, throwing that ball as hard as I could at the wall, pitching it.
Then at night we played 1, 2, 3, wee willie buck hawk. If you catch the guy and you say 1, 2, 3, wee willie buck hawk, then it's his time to hide, or his time to be the guy looking for the hide and go seek guy. But we used to do that. And then at the city pool, and they didn't like this at all, but we played it anyway. It was called rag tag. We'd take an old rag and we'd throw it and hit him. And if it hit somebody, it was his time to throw the rag.
Yeah, rag tag.
So, and you ran away from him. So the big old pool, and they didn't like it. Lifeguards did not like it, but we'd surround the whole pool playing rag tag, throwing. I could hit somebody across that pool and whatever.
Did y'all have ping pong tables back when you were?
Yeah, we did. We did in the teenage canteen. The teenage canteen had a jukebox and ping pong table.
Anybody that had a ping pong table got really good at ping pong. Chuck Norris, 12, had one, and he was really. Scott Rainey, I was just talking about, my buddy. Him and Todd had one. When we were in Opelika, we had a ping pong table, and Dad was real good at ping pong.
Yeah.
Rush was good at ping pong, and I played a lot of ping pong between the ages of about 5 and 12. Well, then we moved. We do not have a ping pong table anymore, and so I can't play ping pong like I used to. But you know, it never left me. I was always good at ping pong just from how much ping pong I played when I was, 11 years old.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things.
We played a lot of badminton when I was a kid growing up.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, we played that sometimes.
Well, let me tell you something. We made rubber band guns. We had Bassett Packing Company with of course you could smell it all over town because they killed hogs and cows, and it was a meat processing place. And they had these big long red rubber bands that what you could do, you could take a piece of wood and you could tie what a clothesline, what did you call them?
Clothespin.
Clothespin. You would tie it against the stick, and then you would stretch it out.
I remember those.
And you mash that clothespin, and it would blow up, pop you. Well, we used to play with those guns.
You know, we did. Well, Bobby and I did.
Orange Street against Fairview Street, we battled all the time with rubber band guns.
Did y'all have pinecone wars? We would have forts and pinecone wars.
Yes.
But the rubber bands, I grew up playing with soldiers and army men.
Yeah, I did too.
We had the tanks and the jeeps and the forts, and Bobby and I would set up our own little D-Day landing camps, and we wouldn't throw things at our enforcements and our fortresses. We would get rubber bands, and we'd take turns, and we would just pow, and then take out how many soldiers you could.
But listen, ladies and gentlemen, he had he was rich. He had little plastic men. He had just hundreds of little plastic men.
That's right.
I had sticks. You break a stick up, and you stick him in the ground, and he was a man.
Y'all didn't have plastic soldiers?
No. You did. You lived over on Hillcrest. That's why you did. We made up what we did. We took sticks and everything. We take rocks or marbles and throw at them and try to knock his down before you knock mine down.
You know what Mom did?
When you grew up in Troy in the 40s, I mean, there was no such thing as the country club. I know there wasn't Crow Hill.
There was a country club. You had to be rich, though. You had to be real rich to go to the country club. At least I thought that was the case.
What about near the university, like out that way? Was all that developed at all?
Yeah, they had basketball goals with, and this was a smart thing. They had chain.
I'm talking about neighborhoods, though. I'm trying to figure out what neighborhood.
Well, as Curran Farmer developed the college neighborhood, right?
Yeah, probably did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
that was probably in the 50s, I would say.
Of course, we went to the city pool at Murphy Park and did those things. And we made also right there in front of Cheryl Crow's house. Of course, Cheryl was 6 years older than me. We'd take our roller skates and we'd nail them to some wood and get us a string, and we would have little races down the hill.
I want to kind of time out right now. Today's generation of kids did not have it as good as our generation of kids.
Well,
you think about all the fun things we did, all the creativity and imagination, everything we've talked about. A lot of these things that we're talking about are not commonplace.
Well, the big difference is now, today it's very wise to stay inside because you got air conditioning. But back when I was growing up, it was cooler outside than it was inside because you didn't have air conditioning, and you found things innovative.
Everybody had a bicycle.
I played with marbles like you wouldn't believe.
You played baseball. In baseball, you played basketball, football.
In fact, I was getting ready to play a ball game one night over at Knox Street, and I was swinging the bat, and I always liked to swing it so I could see it, so I'd get close to the to the car, to watch myself swing. My daddy never forgave me for busting his Mercury windshield out. Just watching myself swing.
I grew up in my Opelika, Opie Taylor days in the heyday of Evel Knievel.
Yeah.
I was just talking about Evel Knievel with somebody the other day, and so everybody that had a bicycle, what did you do with your bicycle? You learned to ramp your bicycle, and so you would turn the wheelbarrow upside down, get you a piece of lumber on the bottom of the wheelchair, and you had a ramp.
Yeah.
Then you would find a driveway that had an incline downhill, and then you would set your ramp up right where the driveway went into the grass, and then you could kind of safely ramp off into, and then you would get some trash cans, lay them down side to side, and the thing was who can ramp the most trash cans.
Well, they had a big.
I did 6 trash cans one time.
They had a big time ramp on Crow Hill, didn't they, Mike?
Yeah, the great Tommy Outlaw built a huge quarter pipe that was
exactly right.
12 feet high.
But before
the rest of the skateboarders.
Before we start picking games, I gotta get real personal with you, Rice. Did you have a stick you could ride?
You've asked me this. No.
Did you have one? All right. Well,
I remember those little. I remember those little wooden horses you could buy at the TGNY.
See, that was the difference in you and me. I mean, I had just an old broomstick, and you had and if I turned it up the other side, I'd have a head. It would be the broom at the head, and I'd ride that broomstick all over my backyard. It had paths. You could see where I'd ridden that old broomstick, and. Right back then, cowboys were real important. So if you were Laszlo Rue or Hopalong Cassidy or Roy Rogers or Gene Autry,
that was it.
So, but I had a name for my horse and everything, and I had a girlfriend. Did you have a little girlfriend when you were growing up riding a stick? Well, see, Dale Evans was my girlfriend, and I have a post there, and I would go and I'd tie my stick up, and I'd go and kiss Dale Evans. That post, and that's how we played.
Would you go into the saloon and throw a silver coin on the bar and say, "Around for all my friends"?
That's right. And those little old cups that they drank out. I always said, "Gosh, that's sure not much. That's sure not much to drink." And they got a little old cup there about like that. And, of course, it was what they call it now. What do you call them, Mike? Those little cups.
Spittoons. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they call them. He must be gone, is he?
No, he's there.
No. What are you talking about?
A 2-ounce cup. Back in those days when we were watching
a jigger,
these cowboys, the jigger, sort of like a jigger, and I always said to myself, I said, that's sure not much to drink.
Another thing I remember is we had thinking about cowboys, I think about everybody did have their little their little cap guns. Yeah. You had that little paper that you'd make a pop.
Oh yeah, we always had that.
But then you'd have dart guns, and then they had disc guns were real popular. Yeah. And man, we had great wars in the house, and you'd always have to find some sunglasses to wear in case you got to block you from being shot in the eye.
Okay, it's over with. We're gonna give you some relief.
Our biggest game growing up was Spotlight. Everybody would hide in the woods, and people's yards, and the bushes, and we'd have flashlights to go around. after that, we'd have the more fun games. We'd play Truth or Dare or Spin the Bottle. So
that's when everything started changing.
Spin the Bottle now. Hey, listen, what you did when I was even in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, we played Spin the Bottle, and if it landed on you and then it landed on a pretty girl, you walked her around the house.
Oh, wow.
That was Spin the Bottle, that's right. And later on, I'm sure those kisses passed by, but this was boys and girls stuff, Spin the Bottle. And there are folks out there saying, oh, yeah, we played Spin the Bottle.
I think that's still around.
And it was rough. Now, it was rough, though, when a girl, when a girl, it was her time to spin the bottle, and the big old fat buddy, Bubba, she landed Bubba, and she had to walk around the house with Bubba. We're ready to pick some games.
I remember those when I moved to Troy, and in 7th and 8th grade. That was the age when you had these parties, and then you would play Truth or Dare or Spin the Bottle, and sometimes then you'd walk around the house or in the woods with somebody. And
that's right, no question about it.
That's a rite of passage, I guess.
Yeah, the best thing about that is you were like in junior high playing with high school girls. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's start our picket show today, brought to you by Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram trucks. And ladies and gentlemen, they're dealing like never before. And of course, as we say so many times on this show, nobody beats a Premier deal, nobody. And we appreciate them being a sponsor again. Jason will be with us hopefully next week. And we're going to get started with some high school games, Mike. And there are not many of them, but we've got some good ones. We got Auburn at Dothan, and it looks like Auburn High School's got one of the best teams in the state.
Wow.
Yeah, Coach Weingarten's done a really good job there. Of course, he's been there for at least 6-7 years. And I think everybody they've played so far, they've blown out. So I'll take Auburn.
Yeah, all right. I'm taking Auburn High School. Who do you like, Rice?
The Baby Tigers.
The Baby Tigers of Auburn. Okay, you've got Enterprise at Davison. They got to drive. I feel sorry for Enterprise. They have, playing as a 7A school, they have to travel all the way down to Mobile 2 or 3 times during the year. Enterprise started off with a good one, big win over Dothan. I can't see why they can't beat Davison. I'm going to take Enterprise.
I'll take Enterprise.
The Wildcats.
I'll take Enterprise as a fast-growing town, and I'll tell the audience that I would have gone to Davidson High School if we stayed in Mobile. I went to the middle school that was next door to it, and man, I'm glad I didn't have to go to Davidson High School.
Well, I've heard of great players.
Y'all are all great athletes. So one of those big ritzy private schools for recruiting y'all.
Oh yeah, you would have been gone. See, you've got right here. You've got St. Paul's. You've got UMS Wright, and you've got and McGill-Tulane. Ladies and gentlemen, they're located right next door to each other.
Yeah, Mike.
Did you know that, Mike?
You got Mobile Christian. You got Bayside Academy. You got so many private schools down there.
Mike teases me about being
Faith Academy.
Growing up in the brick house and being rich. But, think about it. I lived in Mobile in second semester of my 6th grade year. If the Rices were rich then, we would not have been going to Azalea Middle School or Davidson. We would have been going to UMS Wright or St. Paul.
And you wouldn't have wanted to be close to that paper mill, that worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. Well, it was something else. What was the yellow smoke that was so bad? What do they call it? Boy, you couldn't even drink the water.
I want to paint it. It's funny that how you remember certain things from certain places. I'll tell you the events that happened in those 9 months we lived in Mobile. The movie Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley died. Elvis, yeah, man, that was and the big album of the day was Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. That was the #1 album. So now you got a picture in your mind of a time and place.
Okay, let's get going here after this. Have you ever heard of a player that was good from Davison? Now, I've heard of a lot of players good from St. Paul.
Yeah, you're right.
A lot of guys good from Murphy.
Richard Todd was
a lot of good players from Viger. Did Richard Todd play at Davison?
I think, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, he maybe did, but you don't hear of as many that played at Davison. Opelika at Eufaula is red hot, losing a heartbreaker last week. I think Coach Rigby, my good buddy who lives right here in Troy, Alabama, I'm going to root for him. I'm going to take Eufaula.
I lived in Opelika, as we've talked about many times, and I can remember their fight song. You may sing it?
Yeah.
Hooray for Bulldogs, hooray for Bulldogs. Someone in the crowd yelling, hooray for Bulldogs. 1, 2, 3, 4, who you gonna yell for? Bulldogs, that's who. Went to a lot of Bulldog games.
Hey, all you Eagles, you Ozark Eagles, who talking to you Eagles, bumma, 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 bum, bum.
How do you spell Eufaula?
It's Eufaula, Mike. Eufaula. EUFAULA. Eufaula.
I misspelled it.
I can remember, you know who I grew up next to in Opelika? Who was her name? Ann, and she was a cheerleader at Opelika High School, man.
Okay.
So cute. You don't think little 5th grade Bill Rice didn't have a crush on that cheerleader? And then you would go to a game on Friday night and walk by the fence, playing tackle the man with the ball, and then she would see you and wave at you and say, "Hey, Bill." And then all your buddies would see that the pretty cheerleader knew who you were.
Exactly. Well, let me tell you this. I used to could always sort of visualize the team when I look at a score. And I look at the score, Mike will tell you, I look at the scores of high school games, and I'll challenge anybody on this. The whole state of Alabama, I can pretty much tell you who won the game after I look at it one time.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that makes me do it. But I visualize also the color of the uniform. I'm going to guess here. Opelika was red and white?
Yeah. Red and black.
Red, black. Okay. All right. How about Rehoboth?
That's what you did. That's what we did growing up. Dad would drive us to football games every Saturday, either the Alabama games or Troy games, and back then they had something called newspapers.
That's right, newspapers. You're right.
We would have huge sports sections, and I would read him all the high school schools.
That's right.
We were on the road.
You know how I learned my multiplication tables, especially the sevens, was football scores. It was so easy. I mean, and that's back when Alabama was beating everybody 42-0. 7 times 6 equals 42.
Our educational, on this show, of course, we've been doing this show since 1998. We had a lot of fun with it. But let me tell you, it's also an educational show. Geography, you would think geography, that is a hard word to spell, geography. But it's not. You take each letter. George E.O. Grant rode a pony home yesterday. Geography.
Yeah, good job.
Why not teach that way a little bit, I think they need to come up with a crossword puzzle that is educational. Something that's fun for kids to do and to learn at the same time.
I've got a third grader now, and I have, once in a while, I'll help her with her homework or look at her papers, and they have changed the way they teach things since my day. I mean, even the way they teach math, I don't really get some of it.
Exactly right, but that's how I learned to spell geography, though. George E.O. Grant rode a pony home yesterday. Let's get back to our scoreboard. We've got Rehoboth playing at Carroll. Now, Mike, you're going to not believe this when I say this, but Carroll High is going to win that football game. They're going to beat Rehoboth.
They've been blown out every game, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been getting blown out every game, but they're playing at Aunt Matthews Stadium, the home of Will Matthews. And,
but not different family, though, he said.
And by the way, Will Matthews will be calling in with his picks of the week in just a few moments. Who do y'all like here?
I'll go Rehoboth.
Okay.
I love Ozark, and it's almost a sister city of Troy, but I'm gonna have to go with Rehoboth.
Pete Harrison is the coach at Rehoboth. I'm just thinking, looking for an upset here. Goshen at Childersburg, and of course Bart Snyder is a outstanding coach. You can't win. You don't have the great players every year. You watch this team, and they'll get better every year, but they got to go to Childersburg. Childersburg will be in with blue jerseys and white numerals. I'll take Childersburg.
Childersburg's been really down. I know they fired their coach. They've been there for 2 or 3 years. They're really good when Charles Anderson played them on that state championship run. I'll take. I guess I'll take the home team here. Goshen didn't look great against Trinity, so I'll take Childersburg.
Okay, Childersburg. All right, the Rice, who do you like?
The land of Goshen.
Oh, land of Goshen. That's politically correct. Dadeville at Pike County. Pike County finally gets started. It'll be their first game of the year, and Coach Holland and his team. Dadeville normally is really good, but they're off to a real slow start. Pike County will beat them as bad as they want to. At Bulldog Stadium, Pike County and Dadeville.
Coach Holland, Coach Dennison.
That's tonight at 7 o'clock.
I know they lost some athletes, but they ought to have enough to take care of Dadeville. Pike County all the way.
Okay, now quickly we're going to move on. We got several high schools.
I'll take Pike County as well.
Okay, take Pike County. Zion Chapel at it.
Who did you pick in Goshen Childersburg, Dad?
I took Childersburg. Okay. Childersburg, the home of a good friend of mine, Mike, who was an outstanding quarterback there, and of course married one of Troy's prettiest girls ever, Alice Kay, and of course.
You talked about Shoemaker yesterday.
Yeah, Johnny
Prettiest
Shoemaker.
girl ever from Troy. That's pretty.
That's right.
It's also the great Gerald Wallace, the former Alabama great basketball player, and played 14 15 years in the NBA.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I forgot about
It's
him.
right there on the water. It's a pretty town. Zion Chapel at Elba. Elba will beat them about as bad as they want to. I hate to say that, but that's a fact.
I ditto that.
Elba big.
All right, Arrington at Geneva County. Geneva County's got this. Of course, it's Geneva County of Hartford, and they're always good. This is going to be a heck of a football game at Hartford. Arrington, of course, coached by Coach Kilcrease, who I think is one of the finest young coaches around, Stephen Kilcrease. Who do you like here, Mike?
Well, I mean, Chuck Dunn's their defense coordinator, coached in college for several years, and of course, Stephen won state championships at Pine Liberal Arts. So two of the best coaches you could really ever have for a 2A school. I guess I'm going to go Geneva County. If this game was played in Arrington, I might take Arrington, and I'll take Geneva County on the road.
It's going to be tough, but hey, those Purple Cats, believe you me, they're going to get after them. I'm going to take the Purple Cats to shut down Geneva County's great running back, and Arrington win the game.
Arrington.
All right, Rice took Arrington. How about those Bobcats? And of course, in their black and gold, and of course, traditionally a outstanding place to play high school football and grow up. What was their all-time greatest player, Mike, that came out of Opp, Alabama?
Mike DeBose.
Mike DeBose, exactly right. Mike DeBose, I sat there and watched him make 33 tackles one night against Charles Henson. But they lost the game 14-0. We went on and won several games, but they lost the game 14-0 because he was out of the game with leg cramps.
I imagine.
And every time he came out, we scored.
He must have been a great player in high school and college.
Asked Dale Taylor one day about blocking Mike DeBose. I told him to crack back on Mike DeBose, and we ran the sweep, and we'd crack back on that outside linebacker. And I said, Dale, you got to make that block, man. It's not going to work unless we make the block. He said, Coach, it's like hitting that telephone pole right there. Crack it back on Mike.
He said, you go block it.
Crack it back on Mike DeBose. He was one of the best high school linebackers ever to play
in this area, yeah.
Okay, everybody take Opp or Houston Academy. Houston Academy is a lot better, Mike.
I'll take Opp.
All right, Opp's got that
Didn't
quarterback.
Houston Academy win last week?
I think so.
Yeah, that played somebody really bad, though. I can't think who.
Okay, in the upset, I got to beat y'all somewhere. I want to go with Houston. We got a problem Academy.
Okay.
I'm totally opposite on a lot of y'all. So.
All right, Slocum is at Providence, and this should be a good football game. Slocum's a pretty good team. You know what their nickname is, don't you?
The Red Bugs, the Red Tops?
No, they're the Red Tops. You know why, don't you?
The Tomatoes.
The Tomatoes.
See, things you learn on this show?
If it says Slocum Tomatoes, that's where those are the ones you want to pick. But I'll take Providence to win the game. They play it at home.
Kenny Keith, Coach
Kenny
Keith.
Keith.
Providence got beat last week. I think they've lost 2 games.
Oh, have they?
Coach Keith will get them back.
Slocum's undefeated. Ugh, I don't know what to do here. Yeah. I guess I'll go Providence if it's at home.
Yeah. Okay. Mike's is taking Providence
Slocum
at home.
is a weird.
Providence at home.
Slocum's a weird word. I wonder where the story is behind the name of that town.
I would think Slocum probably is an Indian name, don't you think? Maybe?
Yeah, that might be probably a good guess.
Okay, this is a good one coming up. Lee Scott versus Pike Liberal Arts University. Pike, the Patriots of Pike Liberal Arts at home.
It's the White Ward Field, Delaney Kirby Stadium.
That's right, White Ward Field, Delaney Kirby Stadium.
Oh, good. They
Pike
both
Liberal
need
Arts,
to be
the
named
University
on that
of
field.
Pike Liberal Arts. Mike, when I was watching that team from Florida play last night, the team that everybody talks about down there, they were on TV last night. Did you see any of that, Mike?
I was watching the UAB Miami game the whole time.
Well, I couldn't get it. We could not get the ACC network on my dial.
It's on ESPN Plus, and we have the ACC network on Sling down here. So.
Well, I was supposed to have Steve gave me the Plus yesterday, and I just don't know how to do it. Evidently, somebody needs to teach me something.
Somebody needs to come do it for you.
Yeah. Pike Liberal Arts.
Network had 2 announcers do the the game. Dave Barnett, who's been doing games for a long time, and then Hasselback, that played at Boston College. Both of the announcers were in their house calling a college football game. How crazy is technology?
Oh, man,
that's
right.
weird. And I noticed that
they were not even at the game.
AL.com, which Mike made a joke earlier that there are no newspapers left in America and Alabama. That's the old Birmingham News, which really no longer exists. But I did note that there was no reporter from the Birmingham News, AL.com, that posted a story from Miami about the UAB Miami game. Yeah. I mean, they covered the game from TV, in other words.
Yeah. Well, I sure wish somebody would have helped me out on this ESPN Plus, and Steve and I worked on it yesterday. I just didn't know how to do it. Okay, Lee Scott at Pike Liberal Arts. Pike Liberal Arts is loaded, ladies and gentlemen. You want to see some good football players, head out to Pike Liberal Arts School tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff.
It's on Troy Cable, right? Like,
yeah, it's going to be televised on Troy Cable. Is that right, Steve? And that should be a good football game.
I think yesterday said it can be televised live, so I will be watching that one.
Yeah. Of course, Lee Scott, considered the largest high school in the Alabama independent schools, and they're always good, and it should be a good game. But I'll take the Patriots of Pike Liberal Arts to win that one.
Big game, playing the biggest school in the AISA. So, but with all the talent Pike Liberal Arts has, playing at home, I'm going with the Patriots.
And Coach Mays,
Coach White.
Yeah, Mays. His son's name Mays White is an outstanding football player, quarterback for them, and you'll enjoy watching that game.
That's a real testament to him to play football. Even you could get the route of the Nelson kid and shut it down and just play baseball. I mean, he could easily do that as well. I mean, he's one of the top 100 players in high school baseball. Is already committed to Florida State. I mean, give this kid a lot of credit that he would play quarterback on the football team as well.
No question about it. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a short break. This show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Picks today, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Right here, right now. It's a double dose of savings. Yes. Summer clearance event savings. Plus Labor Day savings. 2020 Wranglers. Start at $289 a month. 2020 Ram 1500. Save it to $17,377. The biggest selection. Better discount. Best deal. New 2020 Jeep Cherokee. Save up to $10,000. Save over $9,800 on new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Bad credit, no credit, it doesn't matter. Shop us at PremierTroy.com and save thousands. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Napa Know-How. Want a new Jeep? 2020 Renegade. Start at $169 a month. New Cherokee. $249 a month. Grand Cherokee. $269 a month. Jeeps cost less than Troy. Shop PremierTroy.com during Jeep Adventure Day. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass right here in Troy. And, of course, they're dealing like they've never dealt before, and that is really with great, great deals on beautiful cars and trucks from Premier. And we appreciate Jason Gregory sponsoring this show every Friday, the Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Ram trucks. Picks of the week right here on Troy Cable. And we're going to now go into the colleges. I know we shot the breeze we apologize going back into our very elementary days when I rode a stick. Listen, innovation. But I made a bad mistake. I used to pick at a rooster in my chicken pen. That rooster got out one day and chased me all the way to the grocery store up the street.
Y'all had a rooster pen? Pen?
One time we did. We had a rooster pen. And I picked at him, and when he got out, he went after me. And he ran me, I was just a kid now, but he ran me all the way up the street to the
a lot of people had chicken pens.
Have you ever seen a rooster's a mean bird?
I've heard they have, yeah.
You really couldn't get away from it?
No, I had to run up the street because I knew he was after me. You know, they've got these sharp things on their. Yeah, they could hurt you if they wanted to.
What is a gamecock? Is a gamecock a rooster?
There's a fighting rooster place outside of Troy going to hell.
Oh yeah, I said I was wondering, boy, you talking about hot? Don't you know they're hot underneath that metal tin?
What is it? Explain to me what a gamecock is.
Is that a fighting rooster? A fighting rooster.
That's a fighting rooster, yeah.
Well, the Gamecocks have got a new giant statue.
Jacksonville State does?
No, South Carolina Gamecocks that has been, they shipped on an 18-wheeler all the way from California, and it has arrived, and it's going to be in front of their stadium. They showed it on the Feinbaum show yesterday.
Oh, did they?
And it's an impressive-looking statue of a rooster.
All right, let's get going, ladies and gentlemen.
Dad, I want to mention that, too. You talked about Jacksonville State for a second there. Troy got a big offensive lineman that transferred out of Jacksonville State, because they're not playing a season.
Yeah, did they get one since that happened then?
Yeah. He played for Brian Blackman of Opelika, but he's an offensive tackle, 6'4", 290. Started at Jacksonville State last year.
Well, he'll play at Troy then.
Yeah, he's still able to come in and help Troy. Then I also saw, this is interesting, because Miami had a phenomenal Australian rules punter last night, a guy that, is probably 24, 25 years old.
He came from Troy, didn't he?
No, came to Miami to punt, but he was punting like 55 yards. He was a great punter, but I saw where Troy got an Australian.
They do. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking they might have got that guy.
Why can't Alabama get an Australian rules punter?
It was a different guy Troy got. The guy last night from Miami was really good punter from Australia.
All right, let's get going. North Carolina, a 23-point favorite against Syracuse. That game's going to be played at North Carolina now. I made a mistake on the home field. So North Carolina is a 23-point favorite over Syracuse.
Well, you got to go to North Carolina. I mean, Matt Brown, surprisingly done pretty well at 69 years old to come back into coaching. He's got a great young quarterback, Sam Howell. This line is very interesting, but it's kind of made me think Vegas knows something.
Yeah, they must know something.
Who is the most famous football player to ever come from North Carolina?
Lawrence Taylor.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now tell me the four great, this is for a cup of coffee, Mike. The four greatest running backs in Syracuse history might be the four greatest running backs in the history of college football. Name them.
I mean, you had Jim Brown, Ernie Davis, Larry Zonka. There's one more.
Floyd Little. Floyd Little was the other one.
That is good, y'all.
You remember Floyd Little?
I don't think I was born. I was born in
Well, you might not, but there's one more, I think.
That's pretty good right there.
Well, I mean, the quarterback was a great quarterback was, McNabb.
Yeah.
And, they also had a great defensive end that, will be a Hall of Famer too, Dwight Freeney.
Yeah.
Ernie
Davis, won the Heisman Trophy that year and then died of leukemia before the pro season started.
Who was the coach? Johnny Majors was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy in a controversial decision because it went to Paul Hornung.
Oh, yeah.
Of Notre Dame, a Notre Dame team that won 2 games, I think, that year. I mean, can you imagine the Heisman Trophy winner on a team that won 2 games?
That's right.
So there's been much talk about, well, why didn't Majors win the Heisman Trophy, or how did Paul Hornung win it? Completely left out was who was third place in the Heisman Trophy that year?
Tailback from Alabama.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown was third.
And both of them later said, yeah, the best college football player in America was Jim Brown.
Mike, Jim Brown was also an All-American in what other sport? Lacrosse. That would have been big there. You see Jim Brown playing lacrosse?
Well, Michael, all the kids in Mountain Brook are playing it now, aren't they?
Yeah. It's a yuppie game.
I used to watch Mountain Brook practice all the time when I was out there trying to exercise.
I was telling my nephew one day, I said, all y'all do is run around with a stick in your hands. Okay, Appalachian State.
Lacrosse goes back to the Native American days.
Yeah.
I can say that's one sport I have never played, lacrosse.
No question about
As
it.
good as our PE program was at Charles Henderson Middle School, we never had a unit on lacrosse.
What was the other sport? Rickets? What was it? What was that
Cricket?
other? Was there a sport?
That's an English
Cricket's
sport.
in India.
Yeah.
England loves to play cricket, too.
All right, Appalachian State, the Sun Belt, playing host to Charlotte. Charlotte up and coming, but Alp State, 17-point favorite at home. I'll take Alp State. What do you think?
Yeah, interesting line. It started at 20.5, it's gone down to 17. So apparently people like Charlotte right now.
Yeah, Charlotte went out and got some players, didn't they?
I told my daughter, she's talking about reading Charlotte's Web, and I said, I cannot believe you're in 3rd grade and have not read the book or had it read to you yet, Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
And that's
You remember that song, Hush Hush?
by the Deep Purple.
Yeah, what was the
Hush,
name of that
Hush.
song? Hush Hush?
No, I think we're thinking
Sweet
about
Charlotte?
I'm thinking about the rock and roll classic, Hush, Hush. You know who's the favorite? Bill Walton's favorite band.
The basketball player?
Yeah.
It's Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
Well, maybe them, and then second was, I've heard him brag about
You know, if he
the band
wasn't so-
Deep Purple, too.
You're right. He was a weird dude, Bill, but he was a great player.
While he played, he was 7 foot tall in the crowd at Grateful Dead shows.
Oh, really?
He's an original. I like him.
Georgia Tech at Florida State. This we're going to see what the guru can do with this Florida State team. I think he's going to beat Georgia Tech and beat them by more than 2 touchdowns. Who do y'all like?
I like.
I'll take Florida State, but I think it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm like with Michael. I think FSU will win, but if I were a betting man, which I'm of course not, I would maybe put my money on Georgia Tech to
Now,
cover.
Georgia Tech doesn't run the wishbone anymore, do they?
No, they're trying to run the spread. Apparently, they've got a new quarterback. Collins had pretty good teams at Temple, and he was at Alabama as an assistant years ago under Saban. And I don't know. For some reason, I think Florida State still got some turmoil before the season that started. They got Blackman at quarterback. I'm not super high on Florida State the first year under Norvell.
Yeah. We'll mention Troy Bank and Trust Company, the only bank you'll ever need now with 13 places to bank locally, and of course we appreciate all of those banks all over the central and southeast Alabama, and even into the Auburn-Opelika area.
It's an awesome story. It's been a great bank for a long time. Great people. You know what makes it a great bank? Great people working for it.
No question about it. Of course, the president and CEO of that bank is a young man I watched grow up, and
Well, we just talked about is it Delaney Kirvin Field or Dwight
Stadium.
Delaney Kirvin Stadium?
yeah.
That is the daddy of the president
One of the
of Troy Bank
great
and Trust.
people of all time is Delaney Kirvin. He's done so much for so many kids over the years.
Well, he sure has.
But everybody got Florida State. Okay, Coastal Carolina at Kansas. We're going to go on break after this one. Coastal Carolina is a 7-point underdog at Kansas. Do we have an upset here, Mike? What do you think?
Well, they beat Kansas last year, so big revenge game. Kansas is only a 7-point favorite, started at 4. People are jumping on the Kansas Jayhawks. It's now at 7. I would imagine my kick will probably be 8. I'm going to take Kansas at home, even though I think Coastal Carolina's, as a program, is getting a lot better in the Sun Belt.
Now, is it Coastal South Carolina or Coastal North Carolina?
Well, it's Coastal Carolina, but it's in South Carolina.
It's in Conway, North Carolina, near Myrtle Beach.
Exactly.
Oh, it's in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, see, I don't even know what Carolina it is, so you got to help me out.
Want to mention our good friends at
Who do y'all like?
I like Kansas to win the game. Playing at home.
Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
What movie is that from, Michael?
I don't know.
That's the Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Okay, I got you.
Now, what movie put the state of Kansas on the map? The Wizard
Going
of Oz.
to Kansas City, here I come. Is that it?
We're gonna take a break.
Yeah, we'll be back in just a moment. that wasn't the answer.
No.
What?
It's our anniversary sale. New Ram, 0 APR, and no payments for 90 days. New Ram Quad Cab, $259 a month. Rams cost less in Troy during Ram Power Days. Shop us at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Want a new Jeep? 2020 Renegade, start at $169 a month. New Cherokee, $249 a month. Grand Cherokee, $269 a month. Jeeps cost less in Troy. Shop PremierTroy.com during Jeep Adventure Day. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
View.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by our good friends at King Cox. Well, not King Cox anymore, is it? About Bill Jackson Chevrolet, Bill Jackson Ford, right here in Troy. Of course, today's show, Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks, they got a deal, or got deals going on there that you will not believe. And of course, as we mentioned so many times on our show, nobody beats a Premier deal, nobody. And of course, we appreciate them being the sponsor of our Picket show every Friday. Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram Pickets pick a winner today.
We need Jason to come on and give us some Auburn updates. You know, he's a big Auburn supporter, personal friends of Gus Malzahn. Probably has been to the Waffle House with Malzahn all the time.
He probably has. He's also a big Troy fan too. He's a great supporter of Troy University.
You got to feel good as an Auburn fan going in with Bo Nix. Had a great freshman year. Should have a really good sophomore year. Chad Morris coming over from Arkansas as offensive coordinator. You've got still really good receivers. Of course, offensive line has to be replaced. That's the biggest factor for Auburn on the offense. And then on defense, they've got to replace all those great linemen. But I think Auburn's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think they will too. They're really sort of laid back, sort of quiet
under the radar. Yeah, that's usually when Auburn does good.
That's right, and Malzahn is good at that. Okay.
Malzahn, you can say whatever you want to about him, but he's beaten Saban 3 times now.
Well, I'll tell you something about him. He's not afraid. Have you ever heard him? He's not afraid one bit.
And I bet Nick thinks, he says, I'm going to beat those guys every time. Yeah. That kid's got the confidence.
We appreciate all of our sponsors so much. Sisters Restaurant, located on Highway 231 South, and they've got a meat and three that will knock your socks off.
What's the latest on the buffet?
Right now, they're not going to the buffet right now, but they've got the best food in town anyway with a meat and three. They got a great selection, and their shrimp. They've got that shrimp too is really good.
If they want to retire one day and open a Sisters 30A, I'll eat there every day.
Boy,
yeah, exactly.
They don't plan an idea in their minds. I mean, we don't want to lose them.
This girl got rich, and I went to her place in Savannah one day, and I looked. Yeah, and I was looking through the window, and I said, gosh, that's just regular old country food. I said, you get the same food at Sisters, and this girl is getting rich. Taking her restaurant nationwide.
I always think of the story of Cat and Harry's, the popular bar which became a restaurant in Cloverdale and Montgomery, and I guess it was Harry of the Cat and Harry's that
30A.
Yeah, she sold it, Cat and Harry's, for a lot of money, and then went down to 30A and opened a restaurant, which has been a huge hit ever for 30 years itself.
Listen to this, Mike. When is the best time to go to Cat? Mike, when is the best time to go to Cat and Harry's?
You mean Cafe 38? The best time to go is 5 to 6.
Yeah, that's right. The price totally changes after 6 o'clock, doesn't it?
Yeah, buy one get one entree.
It's really good. It's a really good restaurant, isn't it? It's got a great reputation.
Oh yeah, same.
Oh yeah, it's one of the top 5 down here for sure.
Yeah, it's good. Western Kentucky at Louisville, Mike. This one surprises me a little bit. Who do you like here?
Well, I mean, Scott Satterfield did a tremendous job last year coming over from Appalachian State. I mean, if you looked at Sunbelt coaches as far as what they did their first year, compared to Neil Brown at West Virginia, Satterfield, I think, won 8 games. I'll take Louisville to beat Western Kentucky.
I will too.
He might be the real deal. Yeah, you're right. Louisville. Is it Louisville or Louisville?
Yeah. Mike,
Louisville's a 12-point favorite against Western.
Who's the most famous person to come from Louisville?
No question about it. The great one from the Baltimore Colts.
Muhammad Ali.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, I tell you what. Now, I'll put a close bet. John Unitas too. The great Johnny Unitas. You remember that? He played at Louisville.
But was he from the town of Louisville?
I don't know. The Louisville Lip, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. He was a great one. Clemson at Wake Forest, and of course, there's no question here. Everybody's going to take Clemson. Is this game actually going to be played at Wake Forest? Yes. And the quarterback's not there anymore. He's quit and gone to the pros.
Hell, he quit and transferred to Georgia, and then I guess you have to think he was getting beat out by J.T. Daniels and decided to sit out because of COVID-19 issues, and very, very strange situation there.
Good excuse to quit, though, wasn't it? A real good excuse to quit.
Yeah.
Well, they say he was like a Joe Burrow and really needed to play this season as far as the NFL draft. They said that this guy was maybe a 5th-round pick. So he could have really, made some money if it would have.
He weighed about 235 or 240. He was 6'5". He could do it all. He changes the whole complexion of that team. He really does.
It's going to be interesting to see. Daniels got beat out by Clovis at USC, and didn't play at all. He's coming off a knee injury as well. So I don't know what's going to happen in Georgia. That's going to be pretty interesting.
While we're talking about this, of course, we've got still got plenty of time. Talking about Alabama, Saban is real high on his quarterback right now. And what is happening there, Mike? Is the kid from California not doing well? Is he hurt, or what's the deal?
No, I mean, Bryce Young apparently has gotten rave reviews from all the receivers and running backs that have talked about him. I think it's just, learning the system. Steve Sarkisian, is comfortable with Mac Jones. Mac Jones played good, other than 2 horrible interceptions.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely going to be your starter. I think you're going to see if Alabama blows out Missouri, like a lot of people think they will in this first game. You'll see Young play in that first game, and you might even see, Tyson, the kid out of Trussville, Paul Bryant Jr.'s great-grandson, giving some games this year, too.
Now the next game, Duke is at North Carolina, and, of course, Duke is now...
Notre Dame.
Excuse me, what am I talking about?
That's right.
Notre Dame playing host to Duke, and, of course, we know all about the coach at Duke, and but Notre Dame's going to beat them like a drum, I think, without any problem. But being in the ACC now, Mike, will they have to play Clemson?
Yes.
Yeah, they will.
Will they play them this year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a heck of a game there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they already have played about, 5 games a year with ACC teams, but now I think they'll play 10. That's right, yeah. They'll play 10 ACC games, and then the ACC plays 1 non-conference.
Yeah, exactly right.
And last night, Miami played UAB. That was their non-conference. But, yeah, they'll definitely
Okay, University of Louisiana Monroe at Army. You know, Army just killed Middle Tennessee State. You know, Monroe is a funny team, though, Mike. You know, they've got players, they really do, and they play hard. But this Army team is an option. I think they rushed for close to 400 yards against Middle Tennessee State. I can't see anything different. I'll take Army in a big way. What do you think?
I think Army, and won't it be interesting to see Army and BYU, you know, two wishbone teams or option teams. I bet Army does a lot better against BYU than Navy did.
Yeah.
I'll take Army. Shoot, Vegas loves them. They're 21.5.
I know, it really surprised me. But look out, Monroe, they sneaked up on Alabama one time. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, everybody knows that story. The quarterback that has been at Monroe the last couple of years, a great passer, Evans, has graduated, so they got a new quarterback.
Okay,
and
that's
their
no
defense
question.
coordinator, Bill, mentioned, I mean, I think he resigned before the season. Like, they lost their defense coordinator like 10 days ago.
Oh, boy. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back with more of Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks Picks of the Week right here on Troy Cable.
It's our anniversary sale. New Ram, 0 APR, and no payments for 90 days. New Ram Quad Cab, $259 a month. Rams cost less in Troy during Ram Power Days. Shop us at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Want a new Jeep? 2020 Renegade, start at $169 a month. New Cherokee, $249 a month. Grand Cherokee, $269 a month. Jeeps cost less in Troy. Shop PremierTroy.com during Jeep Adventure Day. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I'm back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you again, of course, by Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks. It is Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks Picks of the Week right here on our show.
I got behind a silver Ram truck yesterday that was just like yours. Man, that was a good-looking truck.
Boy, I like mine, no question about it. Louisiana Lafayette at Iowa State. Iowa State better look out. They better look out here. They're a 12-point favorite. I think they're going to win the game, but it's going to be close, really close. It's going to be a good upset here.
They got a good quarterback, that Purdy guy at Iowa State. Has been there a long time. And that game's at home. It's a 12-point line right now. I don't know if it'll move at all. It's actually opened at 12. Over under 57. I think there'll be some points scored in this game.
Yeah, I would too. I would think so too.
I'm not gonna call the upset here, but I would not be shocked at all if Lafayette gets under that number.
Yeah, or wins the game. Steve, when did Dove season come in, please? Last weekend. Well, let me tell you a little story. Troy played Iowa State out there a few years back, and we got to the stadium early, and we were talking to some Iowa State people, and I asked them, I said, well, do you think there'll be a big crowd, because they were sort of late coming in, and he said, oh, well, it is the first day of pheasant season. Pheasant hunting would go straight up with football. And I said, you mean they'd rather go pheasant hunting than go watch a football game? He said, well, it's sort of a 50-50 thing.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I mean, like, I told my wife, I'm just so excited about college football. I mean, not that it's not my favorite thing in the world. It is every year, but this year especially, like even watching UAB Miami, I watched every play. I mean, I wake up, this game will be at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
It'll be on national TV on ESPN. I mean, I can't wait to
I'm gonna have it if I can get ESPN Plus. If I can do something about that. If I had
No, this is on regular ESPN.
Okay. All right. Now we got.
Well, let me talk about Iowa State.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I saw one of the talking heads on ESPN say that Iowa State was his dark horse to win the conference, the Big 12.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, they lost 4 games, I think, last year, but they lost them. They were all close. You know, they were very, very competitive. And they say they've got a great culture at Iowa State, and it's one of these teams that overachieves. Or maybe they just had, you know, normally when you lose a lot of close games one year, it evens out, and the next year you start winning some of those games. So watch Iowa State. I'll pick Iowa State.
Okay. La Tech.
They got a great coach. Matt Campbell is one of the hottest coaches in the country.
We got to move on. We got 5 more games. Louisiana Tech at Baylor. Baylor going to win the game, but watch out.
That game got canceled due to COVID.
All right, good. I'm glad you told me. Texas State playing host to Texas San Antonio. It's a 1AA team against Texas State. Texas State was impressive, but will they be able to put 2 games in a row?
No. UT San Antonio's in Conference USA.
They're Division 1A now?
Yeah, they're Division 1A.
Okay, I got you. I'll take Texas State. What do you think?
Yeah, they're 9-point favorite. They've come a long way after, SMU game. I think that line was 24.5, and they played SMU straight up. I'll go with Texas State.
Okay, Rice, who do you like?
Same as my colleagues, my esteemed colleagues.
Arkansas State at Kansas State. I don't know why I like Arkansas State. All I can see is that nose tackle just whipping that center like a yard dog. Arkansas State's got some players. They're mean. They play hard. They got 2 real good quarterbacks. Look for a chance for upset here, but I'll take Kansas State at home. And the coach there is pretty good. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I watched Kansas State a lot last year, and they got the former North Dakota State coach, and he did a great job. And of course, we were pulling for the Mitchell kid because of his local connection, and they had a good year. I definitely like Arkansas State's talent. They got a lot of talent. I think they need to start Hatcher, the kid that transferred from Alabama and beat Troy last year at quarterback. I think this will be a pretty close game, but I've got to go Kansas State at home.
Okay, Rice, who do you like?
You see a line on this one, Michael?
Yeah, 10.5. Kansas State's a 10.5 point favorite.
Yeah, very low line, 10.5 points.
Well, I would jump on that number. Definitely Arkansas State to cover, but I just got a feeling they're due for a big upset. And that Kansas State, they lost the Mitchell kid, and I think they lost a lot of other offense. Their offensive line was really good the last couple of years, but I think, like Mitchell, a lot of those kids graduated. So I'm going to take a stab at an upset in Arkansas State.
Okay, all right. Tulane is a 9-point favorite over South Alabama. The Tulane team I saw play Auburn in person last year really impressed me as a fast team that ran. I thought they played Auburn real good at Auburn. There's no reason, Mike, to think that they won't do the same way at South Alabama. I think Tulane will win it and win. Can you believe they're a 9-point favorite at South Alabama? That surprise you at all?
Well, they finished the year last year 7-6. They blew off Southern Miss in the bowl game. I watched that. They kind of struggled down the stretch last year. South Alabama's got everybody patting them on the back. Opening the new stadium, you can imagine there's going to be a lot of excitement, but there's only going to be 8,000 fans allowed. I'm going to go Tulane, but I think this game's going to come down the wire.
Yeah.
I like South Alabama in the points, but I like Tulane to win.
All right, this is a tiebreaker. Rice, who do you like?
That was a good analysis by Michael. I confer with him or comply or go along with him and pick South Alabama. I'll pick the South Alabama to win in another upset, 27-25.
Okay, I'm going to take Tulane to win 38-21.
I think Tulane will win, but I think it'll be a very close game. I think Tulane 34, South Alabama 27.
34-27, Mike Amos. has got Tulane to win the game. Mike, we didn't differ on any of the games, did we?
Yeah, college, I don't think there was anything we did differ from, but
yeah, exactly right. Of course, we hope that you've enjoyed our show.
You got a few more games. Of course, we don't have to pick them, but Texas will be at home. They got Sam Ellinger back at 42-point favorites against UTEP. UTEP did beat Stephen F. Austin, though, at home last week, 24-10, I believe.
Yeah, they're pretty good, yeah.
Let's see, any other games?
I'll tell you, there's a high school game, Brantley. I don't know who Brantley plays this week. You know, the Dothan Eagle doesn't cover Brantley for some reason.
You've also got some 1AA games. Oklahoma starts the season. Pittsburgh will play your favorite team, Austin P.
Austin P. Let's go P. Hope everybody enjoyed the show today.
Hey, we need to mention one thing before we go off the air.
Yeah, well, you're right. We got
today is 9/11, September 11th. So we're all thinking about everything that happened. What year was it? 2001, 19 years ago?
In fact, right before we go off there, we're going to have sort of a moment of silence for the people that not only lost their lives, but the people that it affected so dearly. And you know, that date will live on in infamy.
Yeah, it's just one. It might be the best known date in America.
Yeah, especially as we go through all of this. Mike, anything else on? We still got to be conscious wearing our face masks. Face masks to all the games tonight.
Brantley will win. Huge. They're playing at home against McKenzie.
Oh yeah, huge game there. Of course, Brantley loaded. But wear your mask at the games tonight, and wherever you go outside the premises of your home, wear your mask, and let's try to slow this thing down. And hopefully, with now over 1,000 cases in Pike County, Mike.
Well, it's starting to come down. If you look at the national numbers, things are starting to look a lot better. I mean, it's one of those type things where I feel like this time in 3 or 4 weeks, we could be in the 17,000, 18,000 range a day.
More than 280 students at Troy University's campus has self-reported positive COVID-19 test, and it's something we got to be concerned about. Also 15 employees, and including 12 at Troy's main campus. We're going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. No, not a short break, but we're going to take a 30-second moment of silence.
In remembering 9/11.
Have a great weekend.
It's our anniversary sale. New Ram, 0 APR, and no payments for 90 days. New Ram Quadcast, $259 a month. Rams cost less in Troy during Ram Power Days. Shop us at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. No!